Hello, let's do Wordle for Sunday, April 26th. Let's play. Yesterday we spun the wheel. It said to start with Cabal. We're going to learn something interesting about A's. We sure did. So we learned that not only is there not one A, there's also not two A's. All right, with yellow L, I always like to try it second. We A is gone, so we can't do cell A anagram. I just thought of style, which honestly would be a pretty stylish second guess. Something like stole. Honestly, I kind of like these options better. I'm going to go with stole. I think that's good. Ooh, okay. So we're probably like LOSS, maybe? Like gloss? Floss? How many are there? So there's floss and gloss. Is there anything else? I don't think so. So why don't we go with floss first? Alphabetical. Should have gone with the first one I said. All right. I'd be interested. We're going to analyze in a second, but what I'm most interested in is whether there was anything else after stole, or if it was just floss gloss. Because that S positioning, like most words ending in S, are not on the answer list. So there's going to be a gazillion unlikelies, but it pretty much forces an SS ending. Maybe an SH, but LOSH. Anyway, I guess we'll find out in a second. But before we do that, we're going to spin the members wheel and see what tomorrow's game will be. Steal, just by Cat in a Hat. So one of the best possible starts tomorrow. Not a single repeated letter. That's new for me. Feels like it anyway. All right. So if you'd like to follow along tomorrow, we're starting with steal, and let's do some analysis here. So the answer was Cabal. We're in hard mode, and no, the answer was not Cabal. The answer was Gloss. And we started with Cabal. Why do I always get that confused? It shouldn't be that hard. All right, it's concerned about the Ollie trap, although I think I was emailed an analysis, so I will pull that up in... Actually, I'm going to pull that up right now. I never remember before I hit record that I was emailed analysis. It's only when I reach here, but it's okay. If you're sticking around this long, I don't think you mind too much. All right, so I followed up with stole. It says stole might lose, which is really unfortunate. It says the best possible follow-up is filet, Filet, with a 2.976 solve rate. So here it thinks filet loses, but on the Ollie trap, but it wasn't able to analyze fully. Anyway, I went with stole, which apparently would lose on the Ollie trap, right? So with just that yellow L, the Ollie trap is already extremely dangerous, and you got to be careful about what to guess. So let's do that analysis here. So Ollie words are going to be, I'm going to have to look at my keyboard here. Well, actually, they're going to be listed here, but they're not going to be in order. So what we're going to do is we're going to change the answer to lolly, and we're going to guess jolly. So this is what's left. So there's jolly, dolly, folly, golly, holly, lolly, and molly. So we need to make a guess that'll... Notice that that's seven options. We have 5 guesses left. Right. So we want to guess a word that is going to use several of the Ollie trap words. Because if the answer happens to be Ollie trap, there's no way to guarantee a win if we don't do that early. And so what it's suggesting in the analysis, and I have to change this back to gloss. What it's suggesting to do in the analysis is, I have to pull this up again. So go filet, Filet. And so that gets you folly, but it doesn't actually get you it doesn't get any of the other ones. So maybe filet just has a good follow-up after if it's still Ollie, which is interesting. So I guess since we're deep in here anyway, so what would be our... Here we go. So here it finds Gulch as the winner, so it doesn't actually lose on lolly. So that tests golly and holly. So it's a filler because Gulchy. Oh, because it uses the gray C. So it's not an obvious thing, but the only way from here with this green L to use two of the Ollie trap words is to go gulch. Gulch. Like it's golly and holly. And now we're not out of the deep end yet because we still have one, two, three, four. We still have four ollies left and only three guesses. So we still have to get two in our next guess. But the lucky thing here is that moldy is still possible. And it's even one of the possible answers, which is great. And it also gets dolly. So it gets molly and dolly. And then from here, we're down to jolly lolly. And so, we might get a 6, but we're not going to lose. And so this is why I'm really paranoid about traps a lot of the time. And it does take thought to guarantee a win when you're trapped. We had to do 2 guesses in a row that used 2 of the Ollie letters. Even not knowing whether the answer was Ollie, you have to account for it. You have to go for a worst case scenario there. All right, anyway, the answer was gloss. It wasn't Ollie trap, so we were fine. I did stole. And we were down to just floss and gloss and a whole lot of unlikelies in an S, which is exactly what I predicted. So that's what happened there. Now, it would go fillet, and it's not the Ollie trap, so now we're fine. We know it's not the Ollie trap because the L was yellow instead of green. So slurp, and then gloss is the only answer after that, so it gets a 4. So not actually in this case better than what I ended up getting, because I actually had a better, with what the answer was, stole ended up being a better follow-up, but that doesn't mean anything because we didn't know that was the answer ahead of time. All right, so if we start with tails, then we just do the floss gloss right away, apparently. We'd also do something like locus. There's only 6 letters, so there's 6 words left. Oh, because of the green S at the end, right? Green S at the end just immediately tells us, hey, it's one of the very few words that ends in S. And we also know it has an L in it and no E or A, right? So that really narrows it down. It's 3 double S words, 2 US words, and 1 IS word. So one thing to notice about all of these words that end in S is not a single one is still a word if we remove the S. And that was I believe, that it's my theory, but it seems to hold up, is that there was an automatic process that removed all of the words that end in S, but only if they were still a word if you remove the S. And so BLIS is not a word, FLOS is not a word, GLOS, LEOCU, LORI, and LUPU are all not words. And so these remained in the answer list. But it caught so many. There's 181 here still left that end in S that were all removed. Many of which, some of them are just uncommon words, but many of these are still words with the S removed. Plod, plop, plow, ploy, plug, plum, pool, etc. All right, so it's basically saying just go go most of these. Just not bliss, not lupus. So we could go a lot of these. So like if we go locus, the thing is some of these still give us the floss gloss trap and some of them don't. Well, floss or gloss would not, but they're all on average about the same if we don't know the answer. Anyway, let's move on to steel. It's going to be tomorrow's start. Yellow S, yellow L. So we're going to go bolus, apparently, from that. Now we're down to the same floss gloss trap that everyone's going to have. Almost everyone. All right, adieu is the most common starting word. And it's all gray today, so we go torch on that. And then with just the yellow O, we're going to go flown. We're kind of lower on options here with only O's. We still haven't tested double O. Now's the time with bloom. It is not double O, so it's going to be gloss. And we got rid of floss with flown. So it's a 5. Audio. We do get the O. We're going to check clone here. We're worried about a couple traps, OER and the Ollie trap. So audio with just yellow O, you gotta start anticipating OER and Ollie, or you're gonna be in really deep trouble if it ends up being that. And even then, there's no way to guarantee a win. But you might get lucky, and you can increase your chance of getting lucky by accounting for them early. It's saying go glops, which is fun, which gives us only gloss. All right. Stare, another common starting word. Humps. And then the floss gloss trap again. Okay. Trace tries to get in 2. It doesn't today, but we go flush, which then leads us to bliss or gloss, so 3 or 4. And finally, clasp is what the official bot starts with. We get the L and the S in place. We're going to test double S with bless or floss. If we went floss, it's obvious. It's going to be gloss after that. If we go bless, we could still be in the floss gloss trap. So it's going to get a 3 or a 4. Let's check with the official bot now. We're going to grab our screenshot first. All right. Save this as gloss. Check hard mode. 99 skill. It really liked my guesses. Okay. Because this bot doesn't care if you do a guess that might lose in the future because it doesn't know. It doesn't do that kind of analysis. All right. So how many start with Cabal? 83 others. Stole is the most common follow-up by far. So my watchers know me. Slope, slide, slept, lores, plume, sling, eyelet, split. It would do tiles. Interesting. That's really close to tails, just with an I. That's a good one to remember, although it is a filler. But I still give it 99 to stole. And then floss and gloss. Like, it just gave me 99s all the way down. Okay. It does clasp a bless gloss, so it wins that 50-50. Actually, is bless what this went to? It sure is. It just picked gloss over floss. Okay. 0.2 got gloss in 1. 4.1%. 32.1%. 69.7%. 89.7%. 97.9%. People are losing. They're losing on. That's a decent loss rate. Gloms, glows, globs, glops. A lot of these not answers. Especially gloms. Ooh, okay. Especially if you're playing hard mode, you need to know how the answer list works. Okay. Let's refresh and load up our screenshot so we can analyze in regular mode. I'm curious if regular mode also gives me all a 99 skill. Nope, it goes down to 98. Okay. People still the most common follow-up, but here it gives stole a 94. It wants you to do a filler. Poise, sweet, noise, tiles is the first non-filler. All right. Stole, slope, loser, lens, style, smile, split, flout. That's a fun one. Lumen, poise. No one's doing a filler second. And then floss and gloss get the 99 still because they were the 2 left. It just goes slate, floss, gloss. Could have gotten a 2. So this is really interesting because the hard mode bot was also down to floss, gloss, but the hard mode bot picked gloss first. But then the non-hard mode bot picked floss first. So how is it deciding? It's like really inconsistent. 0.4 got gloss in 1, pretty typical. 2.9, 24.7, 60.2, 83.6, and a 95.5 solve rate. Again, people losing on gloms. Glows, globs, glops, floss, flogs. Vlogs. Losing on vlogs is crazy. All right. Well, how'd you do? And that's it for Wordle. If you'd like to watch the New York Times games, you can click at the end of the video. It'll take you right there. I also have a pinned comment with all the games I played today. And if you enjoyed this, why don't leave a like, subscribe, and a kind comment below.